Day 656, Thursday, May 29th. 1 Chronicles 5 and 1 Samuel 14:24-52. 1 Chronicles 5:1-26. NKJV. Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, he was indeed the firstborn, but, because he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given to the sons of Joseph the son of Israel, so that the genealogy is not listed according to the birthright. Yet Judah prevailed over his brothers, and from him came a ruler, although the birthright was Joseph's. The sons of Reuben the firstborn of Israel were Hanoch, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The sons of Joel were Shemaiah his son, Gog his son, Shimei his son, Micah his son, Reiah his son, Baal his son, and Bera his son, whom Tiglath-Pileser king of Assyria carried into captivity. He was leader of the Reubenites, and his brethren by their families. When the genealogy of their generations was registered, the chief, Jeiel, and Zechariah, and Bela the son of Azaz, the son of Shema, the son of Joel, who dwelt in Aroer, as far as Nebo and Baal-Meon. Eastward they settled as far as the entrance of the wilderness this side of the river Euphrates, because their cattle had multiplied in the land of Gilead. Now in the days of Saul they made war with the Hagrites, who fell by their hand, and they dwelt in their tents throughout the entire area east of Gilead. And the children of Gad dwelt next to them in the land of Bashan as far as Salcah. Joel was the chief, Shapham the next, then Jonai and Shaphat, in Bashan, and their brethren of their father's house, Michael, Meshullam, Sheba, Jorai, Jachin, Zia, and Eber, 7 in all. These were the children of Abihail the son of Huri, the son of Jeroah, the son of Gilead, the son of Michael, the son of Jeshishai, the son of Jado, the son of Buz. Ahi the son of Abdiel, the son of Guni, was chief of their father's house. And the Gadites dwelt in Gilead, in Bashan and in its villages, and in all the common lands of Sharon within their borders. All these were registered by genealogies in the days of Jotham king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam king of Israel. The sons of Reuben, the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh had 44,760 valiant men, men able to bear shield and sword, to shoot with the bow, and skillful in war, who went to war. They made war with the Hagrites, Jetur, Naphish, and Nodab. And they were helped against them, and the Hagrites were delivered into their hand, and all who were with them, for they cried out to God in the battle. He heeded their prayer because they put their trust in him. Then they took away their livestock, 50,000 of their camels, 250,000 of their sheep, and 2,000 of their donkeys. Also 100,000 of their men, for many fell dead, because the war was God's. And they dwelt in their place until the captivity. So the children of the half-tribe of Manasseh dwelt in the land. Their numbers increased from Bashan to Baal-Hermon, that is, to Senir or Mount Hermon. These were the heads of their fathers' houses: Epher, Ishi, Eliel, Azriel, Jeremiah, Hodaviah, and Jadiel. They were mighty men of valor, famous men, and heads of their fathers' houses. And they were unfaithful to the God of their fathers, and played the harlot after the gods of the peoples of the land, whom God had destroyed before them. So the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul king of Assyria, that is, Tiglath-Pileser king of Assyria. He carried the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh into captivity. He took them to Halah, Habor, Hara, and the river of Gozan to this day. 1 Samuel 14:24-52. NKJV. And the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had placed the people under oath, saying, "Cursed is the man who eats any food until evening, before I have taken vengeance on my enemies." So none of the people tasted food. Now all the people of the land came to a forest, and there was honey on the ground. And when the people had come into the woods, there was the honey, dripping. But no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan had not heard his father charge the people with the oath. Therefore he stretched out the end of the rod that was in his hand and dipped it in a honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his countenance brightened. Then one of the people said, "Your father strictly charged the people with an oath, saying, 'Cursed is the man who eats food,' this day," and the people were faint. But Jonathan said, "My father has troubled the land. Look now, how my countenance is brightened because I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found. For now would there not have been a much greater slaughter among the Philistines." Now they had driven back the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aijalon. So the people were very faint, And the people rushed on the spoil and took sheep, oxen, and calves and slaughtered them on the ground, and the people ate them with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, Look, the people are sinning against the Lord by eating with the blood. So he said, You have dealt treacherously. Roll a large stone to me this day. Then Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and say to them, Bring me here every man's ox and every man's sheep, slaughter them here, and eat, and do not sin against the Lord by eating with the blood. So every one of the people brought his ox with him that night, and slaughtered it there. Then Saul built an altar to the Lord. This was the first altar that he built to the Lord. Now Saul said, Let us go down after the Philistines by night, and plunder them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatever seems good to you. Then the priest said, Let us draw near to God here. So Saul asked counsel of God, Shall I go down after the Philistines? Will you deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he did not answer him that day. And Saul said, Come over here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see what this sin was today. For as the Lord lives, who saves Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But not a man among all the people answered him. Then he said to all Israel, You be on one side, and my son Jonathan and I will be on the other side. And the people said to Saul, Do what seems good to you. Therefore Saul said to the Lord God of Israel, Give a perfect lot. So Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, Cast lots between my son Jonathan and me. So Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, Tell me what you have done. And Jonathan told him, and said, I only tasted a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand. So now I must die. Saul answered, God do so, and more also, for you shall surely die, Jonathan. But the people said to Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who has accomplished this great deliverance in Israel? Certainly not. As the Lord lives, not one hair of his head shall fall to the ground, for he has worked with God this day. So the people rescued Jonathan, and he did not die. Then Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. So Saul established his sovereignty over Israel, and fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, against the people of Ammon, against Edom, against the kings of Zobah, and against the Philistines. Wherever he turned he harassed them. And he gathered an army and attacked the Amalekites, and delivered Israel from the hands of those who plundered them. The sons of Saul were Jonathan, Jishui, and Malchishua. And the names of his 2 daughters were these, the name of the firstborn Merab, and the name of the younger Michal. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. And the name of the commander of his army was Abner the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner the father of Abner was the son of Abiel. Now there was fierce war with the Philistines all the days of Saul. And when Saul saw any strong man or any valiant man, he took him for himself. Daily Deep Dive, the UCG Reading Plan states, Chapter 5 concerns the tribes who settled east of the Jordan: Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh. Notice verses 1 to 2 in the New Revised Standard Version. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel. He was the firstborn, but because he defiled his father's bed, when he slept with his father's concubine Bilhah, his birthright was given to the sons of Joseph son of Israel, so that he, Reuben, is not enrolled in the genealogy according to the birthright, though Judah became prominent among his brothers and a ruler. The chief ruler, King James Version, came from him, yet the birthright belonged to Joseph. This passage is important in explaining 2 things. First, the transfer of the birthright from Jacob's firstborn son, and second, the fact that the birthright and kingship were split up. Reuben, though the firstborn of Jacob by his first wife Leah, was not permitted to receive the birthright blessing upon his descendants or the promise of kingship because of the defilement he brought on himself. Instead, the 2 elements of birthright and scepter were split out and went to the next 2 in line. The kingship went to the 4th son of Jacob by Leah, Judah, skipping over Leah's 2nd and 3rd sons, Simeon and Levi, presumably because they were not entitled to tribal territory and dominion, having disqualified themselves through their cruelty. Genesis 4:9-57, Genesis 34:25-30. The birthright went to another firstborn, Joseph, Jacob's firstborn by his other wife Rachel, skipping over Jacob's children by his concubines Bilhah and Zilpah. This chapter further informs us that in the days of Saul, the Reubenites and Gadites fought against the Hagrites, verses 10:18-19, perhaps meaning descendants of Hagar, and thus Ishmaelite or related Arab tribes. The Hagrites and their allies were probably desert peoples, who felt increasing pressure from the expanding Israelite population. Their efforts at resisting the Israelites took place in the days of Saul v. 10. Though the narratives of Saul do not mention them, Nelson's Study Bible, note on verse 19. We see here in the midst of these genealogies another example of crying out for God's help, and his answering prayer, verses 20 to 22, though here God answers collective prayer rather than that of an individual, as in the previous chapter with Jabez. Finally, we earlier read the end of chapter 5, regarding the Transjordanian tribe's deportation to Assyria, in harmony with Israel's history in the Book of Kings. See Beyond Today Bible Commentary on 2 Kings 16:6 to 9, 15, 29 to 31, 1 Chronicles 5:23 to 26, 2 Kings 17:1 to 2, 16, 6:18, 15, 38, 2 Chronicles 27:9. Saul's oath. Once again, Saul's rash behavior becomes an issue. He has made his troops swear that they will not eat anything until the battle is over. This weakens the troops. Jonathan inadvertently breaks the oath, and eventually, in their hunger, the troops ravenously devour the spoil without properly bleeding the animals. When Saul finally attempts to seek God's counsel again, at Ahijah's suggestion, verse 36, God does not answer. Saul concludes that somebody must have sinned in the previous battle, as at Jericho, and asks God to reveal the culprit by lot. He is surprised to learn it was his own son, whom he then immediately condemns to death. We can see here the new Saul, an arrogant, defiant, heartless and self-willed man, quite a long way from the man who hid rather than be proclaimed king. Saul's actions illustrate how bizarre and corrupt his thinking had become. He himself had disobeyed God, and yet when his own son disobeys one of his own foolish commands, he decides that his son should die. Saul is prohibited from carrying out his intent because the people insist that this is going too far, and they refuse to let Jonathan be killed. After all, Jonathan had not even heard Saul's oath. Saul continues to expand the kingdom against the nations around them. The accompanying passage from Chronicles highlights some of the additional wars being fought during this time of Israelite strength and expansion by the tribes east of the Jordan. End.